Would help if I was off mute. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. This is your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about this, and you should feel really good because as the score went final tonight, Texas Tech won 42-17. Do you happen to remember what your prediction was on our Tuesday night recording?
I do, only because you sent it to me, and it was 42-17.
Oh my gosh, he did it.
Did it. Michael was closest through the first 5 weeks, 4 games. I took over closest, but this is the first game either one of us has called exactly. Now, of course, we're going to get dialed in, right? Like, have less variation and possibility of 60 bombs on people and shutouts and weirdness and scoring 11 points. We knew, had the thought, sorry, should have done that a long time ago, that Kansas would be able, had the opportunity or were more capable of scoring points against you than any offense you faced. And for a minute, Michael, they made it hairy.
Yeah, that second quarter was not good times. That was not a fun experience for all involved.
Let's go through that second quarter because it was a clinch, Michael. Everybody
Mm.
clinched. Texas Tech scored the first 21, although it wasn't 3 touchdowns. It was 2 touchdowns, a 2-point conversion, and 2 field goals. 2 weeks in a row, you get to a conventional score in a weird way. So you score the first 21 points. Kansas scores the next 17. But it was a combination of Skylar Gill Howard going down, Baron Morton going down, Kansas going on that 17-point run. There was no energy in the stadium. You're just like, holy crap. Like, we're the way you started this game, it looked like you were just gonna like just roll Kansas. And then this happened, you're like, oh no, they're gonna hang around, they're gonna believe. Like, you're starting to see your own energy come down, whether it's on the team, on the sideline, in the stadium. And Kansas is going to believe. They're going to hang around long enough. They're going to believe, and they're going to make a mess of this. And they did for the second quarter. You were outscored 17-3, but really it was 17-0. You scored the field goal there to get up 21-0, and then they scored 17. They put up 168 total yards. They outrushed you. Well, no. They had a better rush per yards per carry average than you did, 3.1. Only ran the ball 7 times. They did not have a great rushing game at all tonight. They were carving you. Jalen Downs carved you up through the air. He was 14 of 15 in the second quarter alone for 2 touchdowns, 146 yards. 2 penalties. Texas Tech committed 3. They were 3 of 5 on third down. They were picking up 7.6 yards per play to your 3.8. They held the ball for 8 minutes of the second quarter. It was starting to pile up against you. And the way that, like, it felt like it had just completely swung because of how hot the start of the game was. You're like, we got this. And then that second quarter happened, you're like, we're going to mess around and let Kansas believe long enough that they're going to just make this a mess. You get to halftime. Not the cleanest start to the second half, but then you rolled. You got through the first couple of drives. Hammond got his feet underneath him, was finding his receivers a little bit more accurately. Dickey, just my goodness. We'll talk about more about his game in a little bit. He really got rolling. You doubled up Kansas in the third quarter in total yards. You went 104 to 52. 7 points for the Red Raiders, 0 for Kansas. You had 80 rushing yards in their 36. You were 2 of 4 on third down. They were 1 of 4. Um, you were picking up 6.1 yards per play to their 4. So you cut their yards per play in half from the second quarter to the third. They still possessed the ball 8.5 minutes, but you forced 3 punts there in the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, you put up another 14 points to their 0, 129 rushing yards and their 60. They were held to 0.8 yards per rush on 13 runs in the fourth quarter to your 16 yards per rush. I'm looking. You only ran 10 plays in the fourth quarter. Again, outpossessed 2-1 in the fourth quarter. They had the ball 10.5 minutes to your 4.5. I would have loved another score there, but that last touchdown where you didn't just run the clock out, you had a great return by McCoy Aiken, who set you up. Had you not been so close, I think it would have been a more methodical. We're just going to bleed the clock, but you got close. You had two. You had a Cameron Dickey run, and then you had a Hammond run before the touchdown, I believe. And then Hammond just trucks a dude at the goal line. It was just beautiful. I loved, Michael, that you didn't settle for a field goal or a bunch of kneel downs there to finish out your final possessions, especially again with a stretch of time where your offense was just not doing so hot in the red zone. What if any of that do you want to react to or start with?
I mean, I think we've got to touch on what Dickey was able to do tonight. I've got some stats already ready in the historical end of things. So Cam Dickey, 21 attempts, 263 rushing yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He averaged 12.5 yards per carry. Of the plays, I wanted to share this too. So he had, I don't know how many of the big plays. Let me see where that is. So any rushing play 10 yards or more, he had 71 yards. He had 12. He had a carry for 24. He had one for, let's see, 55. He had another one for 23 and for 20. I mean, the guy was just unstoppable. And historically, that 263 yards, of course, if that stands, perfectly as Stat Broadcast it has it right now, would put him 5th on the list all time in a single game, and that would put him right under James Hadnot and right before Byron Hanspard. And that's significant for a lot of reasons, but one of them is just how rare this has happened at Texas Tech. So the last time anyone was added to this list was DeAndre Washington against Kansas State in 2015. He ran for 248 yards in that game. I think that was one of those crazy Kansas State games where it was 50-something to 44. Tech won. But prior to that, the last person to crack this list was Ricky Williams in 1998. So it's been a minute. This is historical for a number of reasons. And it's just the way he did it, how dominant he was, how many times he did it, 10 plus yards. It wasn't like it was skewed by just a handful of long runs. Yes, he had that, but he had like 2 handfuls of long runs. His cup runneth over of long runs. So it wasn't like it was just a fluke or anything, but I thought I was super impressed with what he was able to do. Kansas coming into this game was allowing, I think, 158 yards rushing. And tonight, Texas Tech more than doubled that up on them with 372. So, it's not like Kansas was terrible at defending the run, but they were terrible at defending Cam Dickey. That's for sure.
Yeah, you had 13 big plays on the ground tonight, which are, according to Stat Broadcast, gains of 10 or more yards. Dickey had 6 of them. Obviously started off the game with a 71-yard touchdown run. He had a 12-yarder. You had 3 back-to-back. You had 3 within a 5-play span from Jacoby Williams. Played 35, 39, and 40, where he picked up 14, 15, and 14. Dickey had a run for 24. Second half, Dickey had a run for 55. Dickey had a run for 23. Dickey had a run for 20. And they were talking about what he would have needed to have set number 1 all time for Texas Tech. And I think he needed like another 25-ish yards. RG3 made the joke like they're gonna have to get a penalty to back him up a little bit to give him room because he's too close. He's not gonna hit it.
It's going to run out of runway.
And then, of course, Hammond ran it in on that drive. Dickey, oh my goodness, 21 carries, 263 yards. 125 of those yards came on 2 carries. But again, it's not like it was just those 2. If you took those away, he was 19 for 140 something. He was still almost 6 yards per carry. He just had a ridiculous night. And a night where like I didn't come into this game thinking you're going to have this kind of game on the ground, and I think you were going to have this kind of game through the air. You completed 50% of your passes for only 133 passing yards. I don't have the statistical history pulled up in front of me. The last time you threw for less than 150 yards, I don't know. It probably was not a win. It was probably a long time ago. But you completed 50% of it, your passes for 130 yards, and you won the game by 3 touchdowns.
Again.
4, really. 24 points again. You ran it for almost 400 yards. 400 yards. You had 372 rushing yards.
Well, and as bad as the timing of the penalties were, and we'll get to the off the field penalties later, but the on the field penalties, the timing was bad. That was during Kansas's 17-0 run. It just felt like the world was falling apart. Samson was having some issues, but I mean, Tech only got called for 1 false start tonight, or at least credited for it according to Stat Broadcast. That's all I can see. So, I mean, I feel like that's acceptable. It's a lot better than 7 or whatever it was in Utah.
What was the penalty then on Samson in the red zone that stalled that drive? Because he for sure, was it a hold?
Yes, it was a hold. He basically just took down 2 guys, and on the second guy, he did just pull him to the ground, pretty much. But the first one was on the replay. The first one, they could have called it, but they probably wouldn't have. But the second guy, yeah, he basically just pulled him down.
Yeah, you're the first and goal from the 9 back to the 19. Looked like that was your first drive in the second quarter. And I think it was the next play, or maybe it was that play that Morton got rolled up on and injured his ankle. Yeah, I hate to like single out a dude, like a single guy, but like it feels like Samson's got the worst knack for committing penalties in the red zone and killing drives. Of course, any kind of any kind of something that catches your attention in the red zone, especially now, it's going to like really be magnified, right? Like you talk about a play in the red zone that, a drop or just a misfire or a penalty, and it costs you points. Yeah, that's for sure going to be, I guess, magnified, and that was a big one there. And then you got called for a hold a little bit later in the quarter there on a different possession, but at the time of the game when you were like, we were white knuckling thinking, oh my gosh, is we gonna get in a rock fight here? Those kind of plays were just they were so infuriating on my end. But then everything, the clouds parted, Michael. It was all sunshine and rainbows in the second half. It was fun again. The I don't even know. I hate that we are seeing both quarterbacks in this situation, that Morton was injured and then was held out for the rest of the game. Would love to see more of I don't know how you do it, because I think this is where offensive coordinators get into trouble, is when they try to go back and forth and try to manufacture some kind of quarterback rotation, and I think that's when you get the, if you got two, you got none. I'd like to see a better rotation when they're both healthy, but tonight Hammond, it felt like he was off when he was throwing the ball, and it took him a little while to get settled. But I guess outside of that, I feel like we're bearing the lead. Like, I think the other huge storyline we should probably be talking about, Michael, besides Cameron Dickey, is the defense, man, and the defensive front.
Well, and how they stepped down depleted. SGH went down, what, second drive?
It
Third
was
drive?
early. Mm-hmm.
Really early on. And I think that was, him going down unexpectedly probably did throw them off. And I think that was a contributor to Kansas coming back a little bit. Of course, I mean, you can't blame the D-line for two completely wide open guys walking into the end zone with, I mean, closer to a tortilla than a defender. So you can't blame the defensive line on that. But yeah, I think we saw how much he anchors that line, and his sudden absence. Tech was still able to hold their own up front, but it took them a little bit to get
Mm-hmm.
back to how dominant they were, super early on.
Yeah, you have a fantastic depth here, right? Like, I was not concerned about whoever's going to be coming in behind Skylar Gill Howard. We knew it was going to be Cofield and Holmes, or some kind of rotation between those guys. We saw Duda Banks really start playing a whole bunch more tonight, which welcome back, dude. I mean, congratulations on becoming a father, and maybe anything else that may have been going on. Definitely needed your presence there tonight. But yeah, it did feel like you needed to regroup on the front there once he went down, to kind of recenter your defensive game plan against, because it felt like a couple of those things happened defensively. Kansas found some rhythm. They were hitting a bunch of checkdowns. They were trying to hit you with some of those eye candy backside plays, and both of the scores. Well, no, one score was that backside, like they ran like an option to the right and then had a back leak out to the left, and he walked in. The other score, I think, was J Rod got caught in the middle. Like he had a very large zone to cover. Because you had a corner blitz off the left safety, which probably would have been Wisniewski, was rolling down to cover the receiver. And then you had the tight end who would have been running right at the safety, had he not rolled over to cover the corner blitz. And then obviously he was behind J Rod, was just wide open. I say wide open. Daniels had to drop that. He had to throw it above J Rod, and push the receiver upfield without getting too far up the middle and to the left, where Wisniewski could have fallen back and still defended that. So I don't really think that was a scheme. That was that was a good call against the blitz that we had there. And it was just a bad spot for J Rod to be, because like if he steps up to like, well, obviously if he stepped up, there's even more space for the receiver to catch that, to defend against a potential scramble there. If he steps back, Daniels is hurting you with his leg, which he'd done all night. Or sorry, he had shown flashes of being able to do that, and I think you were really concerned about not letting them prolong a lot of drives that way. He did find some space, and there were times when like your pass rush overran him. I think a lot of the called quarterback runs you contained very well. It was the pass rush early, because there in the second half it took off. I mean, you finished the game with 9 sacks. 9 sacks. J Rod
And I
had
think,
1. Height
yeah,
had 2. Bailey had 3. Holmes had 1.5. Tillman got that one at the very end where he just ran right over the backup quarterback. It was like as impressive as a lot of the other ones was. He came free and just he hit the quarterback so hard. Like he stayed on his feet. The quarterback went flying backwards. There weren't even like he didn't wrap him up or take him down or anything. Just I don't know. That one fired me up as much as just about anything else on the night.
yeah, because he didn't know. I think he tried to slow down as best as he could, because if he would have just launched, it probably would have been called a penalty or something, even though it probably wouldn't have been, or he could have seriously hurt him. And I mean, that poor kid, anytime Ballard came in, it was I think the second he came in early on, he fumbled the ball. He was 3
Yeah,
of 6 on the night. He did better than, his stat line shows better than what it actually was. You could you're kind of wondering anytime he came in, like, why are you all doing that? What's the plan here? Just so Daniels doesn't get hit here. I mean, but Daniels had a great game. Aside from getting sacked 9 times, and it was 10 at one point, but I think they or it would have been 10, but I think they took one away. They mentioned that during the broadcast. There was something about one that doesn't count. So it did remain at 9. But man, 27 to 33 on the night, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, but just still pestered and menaced, and it ending up on the ground that many times. Even when you're playing that well, when you get some room to run and some room to actually make a play, it's just got to be hard. It's just got to be tough to overcome that, and for your linemen to see it over and over again. And gosh, I mean, there'd be times Texas Tech would be rushing 3 or 4, it seems, and they would still get 2 guys to Daniels.
yeah. Daniels, he finished in like completing 82% of his passes, 27 to 33. He had 2 long stretches of completions. Like he went 1 of 1. He started the game with a completion, then 2 incompletions, and then he had 10 straight. So he went from 2 of 4 to 11 of 13. There was a drop there by Henderson, and then he went 12 straight. So that stretch, with 4 minutes left in the third quarter, he was 23 of 26.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a lot of those were checked down in like short yardage things. And I mean, he had completions of 10, 5, 11, 4, 6, 18, 14, 20, 10, 4, 0, 14, 19, 5, 24, 4, 3, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, -1. So it's like really clamped down, and he was only able to find space close to the line of scrimmage. We had seen like his completion percentage was lower than 82% this season, but his yards per attempt were really up. He was, when they were completing passes, they were usually pretty explosive. Um, you saw glimpses of that, but you were able to reel some of that back in. Um, I don't think you could have done both, like really contained like the running game and their explosive passing game. Um, but on the ground, um, you held them. They carried the ball 38 times, 74 yards, less than 2 yards a carry. And if you want to sack adjust that, they had
It was pretty.
166 yards. So they lost
Yeah.
80 yards on sacks. So
And speaking of that, like I've got some historical perspective there. So the 9 sacks tonight. Think about this. Texas Tech has had 12 sacks in the first 5 games, and so they add 9 to that. My nose itches. So just think back to 2016. 2016 was a banner year for bad defense in Lubbock, Texas. On the year, how many sacks do you think Texas Tech had that year?
15.
14.
And you had 9 tonight.
You had 9 tonight. You had 14 the entire year, that one of the entire years that Patrick Mahomes was your quarterback. And this is halfway through the season. And it includes 4, well, we're going to include Oregon State. It includes 4 power-ish opponents.
Mm.
21 sacks on the year. Halfway through, you had 14 total in 2016. The D-line is cooking.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what quarterback you end up facing next week. Out there in the desert.
Would you like a score update?
Sure. Let me know how they're doing up in Utah.
It is halftime in Utah, and Arizona State is down 21-3.
Yeah, I saw Dampier run it in for their second score. And I know that they're without Levitt tonight. I wonder how long that's going to last.
Yeah, Sims is 10 of 18 with 51 yards. No turnovers yet, but I haven't watched a second of this game, so I have no context to those stats.
Yeah, we will look ahead and do all that kind of stuff, and even give you like a midway check in because we're 6 games through the season. Not that this is a big accomplishment for this season, but you're bowl eligible.
Yay!
So you're going to a bowl game this year. Very interested to see the status of Hammond's leg, ankle, whatever you want to call it. He was not in a boot. He was not extra wrapped or anything. He wasn't.
Morton's?
Yeah. What did I say? Hammond?
You said Hammond.
I meant Morton. I meant Morton's leg when he got injured. And
I was like, oh no, did something happen that I missed?
No.
Sorry,
I'm talking about.
I have freaked out.
Talking about Morton.
Okay.
And see how that progresses this week, and anticipate him returning and then playing this upcoming weekend. We'll do a full recap of all that kind of stuff. Preview the Arizona State game. But man, tonight it's all about Cameron Dickey and the defensive front. Let's go over some things. You outgained Kansas 505 to 319. 319 is going to be the highest number you've given up all year. Same with the 17 points. You were outgained through the air 245 to 133, but you outgained them on the ground by very nearly 300 yards, 298. You had 372 to their 74. 7 penalties for Texas Tech, 77 yards, 6 penalties for Kansas for 45 yards. You were just 6 of 14. I say just, it's just under 50%. 6 of 14 on third downs. They were 7 of 18. You ran 68 plays and you picked up 7.5 yards per play, 9.5 yards per completion, 9.3 yards per rush, 9.6 yards per rush if you adjust for sacks for Texas Tech. Kansas was 166 sack adjusted yards and 5.7 yards per carry. That number feels a lot different if you take out the sacks. But net, they finished 38 carries, 74 yards, 1.9 yards per outgained possession wise by 13 minutes. Not even close. 36 to 23. Each team had a turnover with penalty or with points that came off of it. That first fumble on Kansas's second drive, their first play, Texas Tech scored and then hit the 2-point conversion. You had that arm punt that Kansas was then able to drive down and score off of. They had 4 fumbles on the night, just lost the one. You had 9 sacks. They only were credited with 1. They had 5 tackles for loss. Texas Tech had 14.
Yeah, a couple other quick hits. This is the 6th game of the season, as I like to keep saying. So Texas Tech is 6-0. During those 6 games, Texas Tech has yet to trail ever. And tonight, I want to look into this because I can't remember. I think there might be some streak or there's some history between not letting points in the third quarter. I'm not positive about that, Spencer. But anyway, they didn't tonight. All of Kansas's 17 points came in the second quarter. So Texas Tech did not allow any points in the first, third, or fourth. But I think there might have been something floating around about how well Texas Tech has done in the third quarter. And I should have looked that up before I opened my mouth, but it's too late. Maybe I can find that out before Tuesday, or probably whoever's listening to this will find it out before we record. But just despite the hiccups in the second quarter, this was a heck of a dominating game. This is kind of what I expected to see, but obviously not not like a basketball game. I wasn't expecting it to be a run of 21, a run of 17, a run of 21. Nobody was expecting that, but I thought it would be semi-close, maybe within 2 scores at halftime, and then Texas Tech would pull away. But you have all of these other extracurriculars that come in. Gil Howard going down, Morton going down, Hammond struggling, which I was still holding the faith, because he came in and when he replaced Morton in Utah, he finished off that drive, and that was a really rough drive. And then his first full drive was really rough as well. I think it was a 3 and out. And so I was holding out hope tonight and didn't see the same Hammond that we saw in Utah, but we saw a guy that knows how to compete and was able to move the ball. Not so much through the air, but definitely getting things done. So it took him a few more drives to get going, but I would assume that's who's going to be playing next week, based off. Man, I just don't know, but I would assume that. But if Morton's good to go, I'm sure they would much rather go with QB1 on the road on a pivotal Game 7 against a Big 12 opponent. But who knows? If his ankle's not in good shape, it may not be worth trotting him out there. They will have to make that determination. But I've just, as frustrated as we were there for a bit of the game, it became fun again very quickly after halftime. And this defense is just, I don't know if I've ever laughed or smiled so much watching Texas Tech's defense, and not in a sick, masochistic way, which used to happen. you know, and I wanted to mention it last week too, but the Houston missed a lot of tackles tonight or last week, and Kansas missed a few tonight. Not nearly as many as Houston, but they were the kinds of tackles that I remember Texas Tech seeing. But yet tonight we saw guys bringing down wide receivers just by like 3 inches of their jersey while they're on the ground, and still able to bring them down and not have them, evade a tackle, get a first down, go 7 more yards before anybody touches them. So that's been a huge change, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have noticed that too. But especially against Houston, yeah, I don't think I ever actually said it on the podcast, but the whole time, I don't know how many times they would make contact with one of Tech's receivers or running backs, and our guys would just shove them off like nothing and get another 7, 8 yards before they're forced out of bounds or before someone actually does tackle them. And that just felt good to be on that side of it. And it felt good to be on the other side of, well, our defense is not prone to do that anymore. So that's a nice feeling. All of it is. Had 2 kickers again tonight for everything. I think they alternated on all the things.
I didn't even notice the 2 kickers.
Yeah, no real opinion there. Just hashtag noticing. So it was that's still the thing. But not a lot of room tonight for a lot of standout receivers. CD was he had the ball the most, at least 6 catches for 55 yards. Carter, of course, had that touchdown catch that was, I think, 21 of his 28 yards. He had 3 catches, and Dickey with 3, and Virgil with 2. So hopefully quarterback play can improve a little bit. Whoever's behind the line of scrimmage next week, get it to the receivers a little bit more. But if your running back's averaging almost 13 yards a carry, don't don't let me stop you from just handing it to him. And I don't want to. I don't
Yeah,
want to
it did
short.
feel like there was a time where
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it did feel like there was times like where we're trying to be too tricky. It's like, hey man, this thing where we hand the ball off to Cameron Dickey seems to be working really well. Let's keep doing that. Okay,
Yeah.
let's keep it simple.
Well, and Dickey's going to get all the love, rightfully so. But Jacoby Williams, man, he had some really really hard runs. Uh, ran over some guys. He had 9 carries for 48 yards, so that's no slouch. That's over 5 yards per carry himself. So I mean, it's obviously Dickey's night, and I think Williams was a little banged up from what I remember. I think his play time was going to be somewhat limited tonight anyway, if I heard that correctly on the radio broadcast right before kickoff. So one, glad he was able to get out there and really contribute when he did. But just Cam Dickey, hats off to you, my man. What a game.
Yeah. Okay. So Nathan here in the chat says 0 points allowed through the 90 third quarter minutes. I know they flashed it. What Texas Tech is outscoring opponents through the first whatever. I'm going to pull that together and share that probably on the Tuesday episode. It's going to take a second. One, I want to see what it quarter by quarter looks like, half by half, whatever. One second. Well, it looks like.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Spencer briefly. I don't know if he hit a wrong button or was truly disconnected, but he is gone. You're stuck with me for a minute. So probably I'll get cut out in the recording that we put out, but who knows? There may be enough nuggets of wisdom here that he'll keep it. We'll see. He's back.
Golly, Hera was thinking that we were going to avoid any kind of weird technology issues. All right, what do you remember me saying, or is it all like garbled for a hot minute?
You said that you were going to look into the point differential by quarter or stats or something. You're working on something for Tuesday's episode.
Yes. Um. Okay, it's funny that I asked you what that was talking about because I don't even remember what I was going to go say from that. Um.
I know, and I can't tell you because you had just started going into
Yeah.
it.
Those on the stream were like, "What are you talking about?" Like, it was so weird. And then here on the audio recording, one, we're going to miss out whatever you were saying while I was gone. So,
It
those
wasn't
that
much.
tuned into the stream are going to have a completely different experience than if you're listening to the recording after the fact, because the recording's only coming from my side. So, okay, yeah, we were talking about Texas Tech not um, scoreless in the third quarter. I was going to do the quarter by quarter scoring analysis. All right. I'm going to go through some comments here. Greg said, I predicted 42-21, so I was close. Yeah, man.
Mm,
Welcome. That was
yep.
really close too. This Tech's not trailed through 6 games. Just amazing. Yeah, there's that too. We talked about that was one of the stats coming into the game. You're not trailed at all this season, and you'd won every game by 24 or more. So,
Oh, hey, Steven. Steven says, "What a fun game, Michael. It was good to see you. I got to run into Steven yesterday at the soccer game
nice.
and meet Steven's kids and grandkid. So it's really cool. That's good to see him.
You've seen one of mine tonight. If you're watching the stream,
Yeah,
running
I
around.
did. I saw his head floating around there earlier.
Well, because he came. So we have. It didn't matter.
It's 11:20.
I know. He does. He lives his own life, man.
Apparently so.
Dude operates on like 8 hours or less than that. Which is like, well, that's a lot of sleep, but not for a 5-year-old.
No.
It's like half of what he should be getting. He's fine. He was really excited for his grandparents to get here. CCISD has a weird fall break where they're off. They were off on Friday and they're off all of next week. So,
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
not nearly enough PTO to cover a week off. So, grandparents are going to stay with us for a week. This defense is so good. Yeah. Again, there was a time there. That gif of the post game interview of that football player, like, I'm not gonna lie, that they had us in the first half. It was really true, at least for the second quarter. They got things figured out. Texas Tech did. Shieldwood did. Got everybody settled. And they got the offense also going. I think that really helped to get everything just kind of flowing. That you kind of showed that like the offense, it hasn't gone anywhere or it's back, and that just kind of relaxed. It's like, okay, it doesn't all have to fall on the defense pitching a shutout. And you did. I was going to be really irritated had you given up a late score. They were trying. They were throwing the end zone with 20, 30 seconds left.
Yeah, almost got QB2 killed.
Speaking of almost getting killed, I was so irritated with the it seemed like a lot of plays their right tackle was like he knew obviously the snap count. He was
Jumped.
jumping
Yep.
just a tad early, and it was so close they weren't calling it. Finally did call it on a play that like Daniels was about to get smoked. Like Height and Bailey got through unbelievably fast, even for a tackle that flinched early. That false start they called saved a hit on Daniels for sure.
But
MD
then I think he
Wilson.
was sacked on the next play for like 15 yards.
Yeah, I think that drive ended up he was like 4th and 31 or something ridiculous. MD Wilson, I thought McGuire said calf during the end of game interview. I missed that. He said, did I miss something? I thought it was ankle from just the way that like I saw his leg get rolled up and very uncomfortable. I like ankle injuries. Oof, because it feels like
Yeah.
it's a very narrow window from like rolling your ankle to like breaking multiple bones and foot dangling off at a weird angle. And you can also have like a very gruesome looking injury without it like a dislocation where it's like it looks way worse than it is. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. So yeah, I mean, you could be right. I was just going off what I thought it was. Greg says, yeah, said calf as well in the post game. McGuire seemed to think it was same calf type of thing from the first game. Um, Offensive line should get a lot of credit. Might not be able to do that against ASU. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to put up 300, almost 400 rushing yards
Hold
any
that
other time.
thought. Hold that thought. Utah right now in the third quarter has 183 on them. So there's a chance.
Yeah, but they'll be back home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Levitt's back, and they've got the
Does Levitt
emotional.
does Levitt play nose tackle?
He's gonna get the boys fired up.
Oh, okay, okay. But yeah,
T Dub.
no, I get it, Chris. I do think though that no, I don't think we're going to see another 300 something yard uh, rushing night. But Utah is. I'm not able to watch it yet, but they're up 28-3 right now.
Yeah. TW says sub. What's up, man?
Sup?
I was
Sup, bro?
I don't know why this made me think about it. The Discord experience for games. One, my stream is not only just behind. Streams are behind. My stream is like fantastically behind. We had a guy that had unbelievable signal in the stadium, which was incredible for how packed the that building was. Giving incredible spoilers 2.5 plays before my feed. So like he'd be like celebrating like what's happening? And then like I'd watch the next play. That wasn't it. The next play like could it have been that 8-yard run? Oh, and then Dickey breaks off 55. There it is.
Well, that was happening to me too, and I was getting really frustrated because I was watching it on the air intentionally so that I could avoid those spoilers. So I was watching it on the antenna. I'm like, how is this guy? How is he able to just I'd be pulling it up to say let's go or whatever, and he's already saying it. I'm like, what? He must be there, and I'm like, surely not. And he was though,
Yeah,
and,
because you
and
don't.
whatever carrier he's on, that's what I need to be on because even now I go out to it was Rowdy Raider. That's right, Slimson. Uh,
Roy, right?
even now when I go to the Jones, which I've gone a couple times this year, man, I can get a text out, and that is it.
Barely.
I can't do anything that involves data. Like if I wanted to send a photo in a text, I was trying to just send a photo of the three of us to my mom, and I couldn't do it. Versus uh, Pine Bluff, and it would not let me do it. So anyway, hats off to the data that he sent. I made a joke in the Discord that he sent and received more data in the first 3 quarters of this game than I have in the last 21 seasons as a Texas Tech fan. There's just no way I've sent and received that much data in the games I've been to in that span. It's crazy. It's impressive.
Yeah. In the Discord, it was Red Raider Roy.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was.
I don't know if that's the same Roy that usually chimes in on our Tuesday night streams. If it is, fantastic work, man.
Speedy.
Fantastic.
We did have one comment from last talking about Skylar Gil Howard asking, did I space out during that? We did mention SGH. All I know is he's in a boot, and I'm sure that McGuire has mentioned him or answered some questions during the press conference, but I think we've been pretty much recording during this whole time, so I have not seen that press conference, but hopefully he's shed a little bit more light on it and when he may be able to return. But my physical therapy pal, Dr. Aceman, told me that if he's in a boot walking on the sidelines, that's a really good sign. Or, as good as you can expect. It's much more hopeful.
Yeah. The other thing that was interesting to me that he was in a boot, but still in uniform, whereas Morton
Morton was
wasn't
like,
in
"F
any
this."
he wasn't in anything, but he was in street clothes. Like
Yeah.
it didn't even look like he had any like extra wrap on his leg or whatever.
Mm-mm.
Um, anyways, okay, let's look around the rest of the Big 12, any other big games, and then call it a night. Um, see if I can come down off of this game. It was man, it was a really great for 45 minutes of game time, about 3 hours, 2.5 hours of really enjoying Texas Tech football tonight. Um, I'd really love to be able to put it all together.
Hey, quick update from Chase before you go into that. Joey said Morton has the same calf strain, and he feels better about Gil Howard. So that's good. Fingers crossed. I'd imagine Gil Howard's going to be out for weeks.
I hope
But
not, but it did
that's
not look
just,
good.
yeah, it's pure speculation. No idea from my end. No inside info. Yeah, that's just what I would expect.
Okay, so there are two current ongoing games: BYU at Arizona, Arizona State at Utah. You already said this, but now Utah's up 28-3 with 11 to go in the third. BYU has the ball, but they are down 24-17 with a minute to go in the
Ooh,
fourth.
they just scored 24-23.
Well, there we go. Iowa State falls in Boulder to Colorado 24-17. What a shame. What a shame. Slight echo from Michael. Maybe when I rejoined, it cut off the. Yep, here we go. That's on me. 1 second. Not while we're recording. My bad, everybody. You'll have to come back and listen to the audio. Um, you UCF Cincinnati takes down UCF 20-11. Houston wins at Oklahoma State 39-17, and Kansas State holds off the other purple team in the conference 41-28.
Yeah, I did not expect TCU and Iowa State to go down today.
With the Levitt
Especially,
news, I was
yeah.
expecting Arizona State to struggle, but not like this.
Well, and TCU scored late. It was 41-21, I think, until the last minute. I think they scored with it was under 2 minutes, I guess, but it was well out of hand.
Iowa State had a halftime lead. They were up 10-7, and then gave up 14 in the third. And then they only scored 7 in the third, did not score in the fourth. They were a 4.5 point favorite on the road there. So I hate to see it, but Cincinnati, I thought that game was not going to be that close with what Cincinnati's been able to do. Just total score wise, I did not watch, but just a couple of seconds of that game. I saw a couple of highlights from the Oklahoma State Houston game, namely that first score from Oklahoma State, the triple backwards pass, whatever. And then clicked over to the Kansas State TCU game as I was searching for football content to take in before our game started. But
They must have taken that touchdown away from BYU, or score app was just wrong.
I've got
Now it's
3rd and 4
24-17 again.
Yeah, I've got 3rd and 4 from the 55 seconds. So they're still, I mean, they're close. They can get a first down here, run some clock, score. But you know what? I'm going to turn that game on. Oh, we're done. Upload. It's crap, but I don't need to upload to watch a game. Wait, hold on though. That's going to throw me off. I need to get their other scores. I think the other big ones to talk about would be Oregon going down at home to Indiana. I thought Indiana was a sham. I would be wrong there.
Yeah, Oregon's the sham, so now we're going to overvalue Indiana's win.
Yeah,
that's how this goes now.
Ohio State took care of Illinois, 17th ranked Illinois, so 34-16. Indiana went on the road to Oregon and beat them by 10. Ole Miss hung on to defeat Washington State by 3, 24-21. Texas A&M took care of Florida, 34-17. Oklahoma lost big, 7 by 17, 23-6. in the All-State Red River rivalry shootout. Knock them down.
I think Mateer had 3 picks in that game.
I saw a shot early on. It was like a highlight, but like it was like from the like an overhead cam behind him, looking like downfield, but from behind. And it looked like so his right hand was one that was injured, and he had it all bandaged up or whatever. On his right pant leg, there was a lot of blood. Like he kept like wiping it off on the back of his pant leg. It was like there's a lot of blood back there. Like probably should get that checked out. Alabama took care of Missouri 27-24. Georgia takes down Auburn. LSU takes down South Carolina. Both of these were 20-10 wins. Tennessee, these are all like it sounds like an SEC update. I'm giving you a ranked update. Tennessee took care of Arkansas 34-31, which is wild because Arkansas's got nobody on staff except for Bobby Petrino. Georgia Tech 35 over Virginia Tech 20. 15th ranked Michigan goes down by a bunch, 31-13. I guess that's 18 points. Notre Dame took care of NC State 36-7. And then Pitt beat Florida State 34-31. And then North Texas last night South Florida, USF took down North Texas last night, 63-36. All right. Now I can pull on the BYU game. It is second and goal, so they did convert for the first down there. Watch live. First and goal from the 2. 33 seconds. Arizona waving some fingers. Final timeout taken by BYU, and I hate their royal blue. They need to stick with their navy. Speaking of thoughts on the uniforms tonight, Michael, before we call it a night.
I liked them. I like what they were trying to do there. It was a little bit busy, but I think that was the point. I could see myself wearing gear of different any kind of gear with that with what was on the sides, the double T with the stripes, the vertical stripes, I believe. Yeah, that's a good look. I like that. I like stars on helmets. I liked a lot of it, but it, like I said, it was busy, but that was the point. So I'm fine with it. It was a solid look. It was kind of interesting to have a blackout and wear white pants, but I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about that.
I'm the biggest fan of what was happening on the arms on those jerseys.
That was so cool looking.
Of everything that was happening, I know there were a lot of different elements there, and there's a lot going on. That was my favorite.
Well, that's what Joey was wearing too. That was his shirt tonight. Was that same logo with the vertical stripes?
The only other thing, not that it was a problem, because there was so much red on the helmet, like there were angles of the helmet that it made it look like you were wearing like a really dark, deep, metallic red. I kind of liked it, but obviously it was a black helmet. Otherwise, no real thoughts. Ooh. Third and goal. BYU threw it into the end zone. Defended. Couldn't have done it any better against their number one receiver. Yeah. Both jumped. Cornerback knocked it down, then got all up in his face. The referee was barking at him from behind, which was interesting to watch. All right. I think that'll do it for us here on the 23 Personnel Podcast. 6-0, 3-0 in Big 12 play. We'll be back on Tuesday to break down this game even further and then preview Arizona State coming up next weekend. Another road trip. That'll do it. Texas Tech wins 42-17 for Michael. I'm Spencer. Catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.